Hi, I'm Charlotte Arangua, and in case you haven't already heard, the world is going to end on Friday, December 21st, 2012. So, while you're trying to enjoy your last few days of normalcy, I think you should read Little Women, because nothing says apocalypse like Little Women. The four characters you'll be spending your last few days with are Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, four sisters growing up in the middle of the 19th century. Their father's at war. They're poor-ish. And they're just dealing with normal teenage girl problems back in the day. I mean, Meg, she deals with vanity. She's the oldest. And chances are she's going to be the first one to get married. Which, spoiler alert, she does. The second one, which is Jo. She's the more rebellious type. She's a writer, she's a tomboy, she's rough around the edges, she's outspoken, and boy, does she have a bad temper. And Beth. Well, there's not much to be said for little Beth. Beth's really reserved, kind of sickly. She has the roughest time of it during the course of the novel. And Amy. Selfish little Amy. Amy's always getting herself into little hijinks because of all the things she does. I mean, I don't think she means bad. She means well. But really, most of the things that she ends up doing, they don't end well. So, during the course of the novel, you'll feel sadness, all your hope will be lost, and eventually, by the end of the novel, you'll feel, well, you'll be grateful for the things that happened in life, which is probably what's going to happen on Friday. By the end of Friday, the only thing you can do is be grateful for what you had and just deal with the things that happened. During the course of the novel, Jo is trying to deal with, being social. Meg is trying to get out there. Amy's trying to hide her poverty, and Beth's just trying to find her way. Poor thing. So Jo, she has, a relationship, not a friendship with the boy next door, who is rich, and along with his grandfather. He takes a liking to Jo, and really, at the beginning of the novel, all you do is feel love for these two characters. You want them to be together. Even though they're just friends at first, you can tell that there's something more. At least on Laurie's side, which is the boy next door. We don't know about Jo, because she's fiercely independent, and this is at the beginning of the novel. Meg is just trying to find her way among all her friends. They used to be rich, but they're not so much anymore. And so now she's just, going to the parties, things like that. But it's not really working out too well, because, like it or not, she still is poor. And little Beth, all she wants to do is play the piano, do her housework, and be happy and help others around her. Amy, she's all over the place. I mean, she gets in trouble with her sister, she almost dies in ice water. It's not great, really. And their poor mother goes through so much with her father at war. It's really sad. Eventually, let's start off with Jo, because she's the one who really carries the book. Jo's a writer. Jo does anything for, inspiration. That's all she wants to do with her life, is to be a writer, even though she is a woman. And it is difficult out there for women who aren't writers. But her biggest fans are her family and the boy next door. They go through all these things together. They talk, they support each other, and they find comfort in each other. Because Laurie's under all this pressure from his grandfather to do well. He doesn't want him to pursue music, even though that's his first passion. And Jo's always there for him. So, along the course of the novel, they do things together, they have fun, and all you want them to do is to end up together. You want them to be married as the time goes by. But it becomes more apparent that Jo doesn't feel the same for Laurie. Especially when she goes off to New York later in the novel. And she feels nothing for him. Even when he says that he loves her. He loves her so much. But she doesn't feel it for him. He even offers to marry her. But no, nothing. That's when all hope part is in the book. Frankly, that's what happened to me. I spent half the book, even more than half the book, wanting these two characters together, wanting them to profess their love for each other. But really, the love was just one-handed, or just one-sided, and I was on Lori's side the whole time. Because Jo doesn't know what she wants. Jo doesn't know what she wants to do with herself. Jo's just frustrated. And then there's Meg. Meg, I guess, you know, she's a good person. She gets lost sometimes when it comes to vanity and money and luxury. But as time goes on, she starts to realize that those things aren't important. Especially when she marries someone who's, I guess, beneath her, or beneath what her family wants. She marries Lori's tutor, Mr. Brooke. And Mr. Brooke is great. He's older, but he waits for Meg because he loves her. And she realizes that that's all they really need. I mean, sure, they need the money, but they can work it out together. And that's Meg's journey throughout the book. Poor Beth. Beth is the one who has the roughest go of it. Not only is she a teenage girl, but reserved, but she gets sick, and she gets scarlet fever. There's a point in the novel where she's on the cusp of death, and everyone is so worried about her because she's so meek and she's so good. And she got scarlet fever by helping others, helping children. But eventually she recovers. You know, life isn't the same for Beth. She's still meek. She's weak. She can't really function like the other girls, and she spends most of her time indoors, especially being homeschooled. She loves music. She loves doing everything musical. She plays the piano, and the neighbor man takes a liking to her because he reminds her of his granddaughter. And eventually, you know, she just stays there, stays at home, and doesn't do much else. But she gets weaker and weaker, especially after a trip with Jo. The two take together. They were the closest. We find so much out about Beth, and afterwards, she passes. That's the heartbreaking part of the story. And then, there's Amy. Amy grows up through the course of the novel. She grows up the most because it starts off when she's very, very young, on the cusp of adolescence, and we end it when she's already married and she has a child. And I won't tell you who she ends up marrying because really, it's upsetting. And by me being so upset, you could probably figure out who she probably marries. It's Lori. Okay, I'm going to say it anyway. She marries Lori. He goes for Jo's sister. Frankly, that was really upsetting to me. Sure, you spend all these years obsessed with one girl, and then all of a sudden, you meet together in France, and you fall in love with the girl you used to love's sister while you're getting over her. Anyway, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. Anyway, so Amy, I guess she grows up the most in the course of the novel. She goes from this little girl, always getting herself into trouble from bugging her older sisters, to this beautiful young woman who every man wants to marry. Eventually, her aunt invites her to Paris, and that's where she meets, like I said earlier, during my exclamation, or my little rant earlier, she meets Lori, and while he's getting over Jo, they find comfort in each other. He realizes that she is not a little girl anymore, and she realizes that he's just not that childhood friend anymore. And it's really, they get married. Long story short, and when Jo finds out, she's happy for them. Frankly, if I were Jo, I wouldn't be that happy for them, but you know, she's the one who let him go. I have to deal. But she finds herself wanting someone too. Earlier in the novel, when she was in New York, she met someone named Mr. Bear. Mr. Bear was a man much older. He was a professor, but he always encouraged her writing, something that she's truly needed. Even after she sold manuscripts or earned money, she still yearned for that partner, which Mr. Bear provided for her. And eventually they were married, and all was well. And at the end, the three sisters come together with their husbands and their children, and they think about all the blessings they do have, even after all the time, even after losing their sister. They can only think of the things that are happening then and now, which is exactly which is going to happen on Friday. You're going to go through remorse. You're going to think about all the things that you've done, the people you've lost in the course of the day or however long the apocalypse lasts, you're going to think about all the people you hurt. You'll feel remorse. You'll feel sadness. All your hope will be lost. You don't feel like that everything's going to be good again. But you do have that hope for a better future, like the girls at the end of the book. Maybe you'll be in heaven with God after the end of the earth, but who knows? But, I mean, frankly, that's what I believe. Because I read Little Women before the end of the earth, which you should too. But if you only have a few days left, Little Women will be the novel that will get you through it. Sure, you'll be on a range of emotions, and it'll be difficult to cope with the things that you've done, but really, Little Women helps you get through that. It helps you before the end of the earth. It'll help you with your family, because it makes you realize the important things in life. They aren't money. It isn't material. It's the people you spend your time with, which is exactly what's going to matter the most on Friday when the world ends. So, before the apocalypse hits, pick up a copy of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. You won't regret it.